Good morning. Happy Saturday. Hope you all are having a terrific day. Oh, I'm going to shuffle my screen just to make it interesting. We are gearing up, having a great time here in the Primed for Success 30-day series. Lee had such a great message in yesterday's video. If you haven't had a chance to catch it, I hope that you will take a few minutes today and circle back. We've got it organized so it's easy to find over in the guides. So if you're swimming in posts, because we have had a lot to say over here, find things in order there. But yesterday was day 13. Okay, now I'm up to speed on my notes. I can take a look back here at the camera. Day number 13, that means today is number 14. And so we are cruising right along in our 30-day series, and we're so grateful to have you with us. So today we're going to take a look at the positivity set point. And this idea has come up a couple of times already throughout the weeks that we've been sharing with you. But what exactly is that? How does it matter? And what's within our control to do about that set point of positivity or happiness or whatever word you are connecting with to call this enhanced well-being and feeling of positivity? Let us know in the comments if you're catching this live. Good morning to you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, as my favorite ladies like to say. Or if you're catching this on the replay. And so a couple of tips that are like key points that I wanted to bring into this conversation about the positivity set point. So I think I've mentioned briefly before, but we'll dive just a little more deeply into this for a few minutes of conversation here. So I think it was in the workshop, and that replay is posted somewhere in the first couple of guides as we kicked this off. I had kind of a longer deep dive session that covered a lot of these topics. So there I shared the work of Sonia Lubomirsky, who has also written a follow-up book called The How of Happiness with some really great tools that you can use to raise your positivity set point, and actually an assessment in the book to find out which of these tools might be best aligned for you, because different strokes for different folks, right? Things work differently for different people. That's why I'm always a fan of having an assortment of tools in the toolbox so people can find what works for them. So this book and her work has culminated from the discovery through her research and looking at the people that they've studied over time in her research program. What makes people happy? Where does this come from? And so if you imagine a pie, this pie chart made her a little infamous. They find in their research, they figure about half, 50% of people's innate or inherent positivity, this set point, this predisposition to be happy, about 50% can be seen to be genetic. So if your parents are happy people, or if you have a typically happy parent or people in your family, you might be more likely to be happy yourself, to be naturally more content. That's the word I'm looking for. I need another cup of coffee. Content, pleased, grateful, those feelings, those positive emotions that we tend to associate with feeling happy. About 50% comes from our genetic heritage, which is really fascinating. But there's still 50% to contend with. So if you don't feel naturally that you relate to being a happy person, if you perhaps in your family don't see people tending towards positive, there's still a lot we can do. Now, we often think that happiness comes from the things we're working for, right? We've got to get the great job so we can get the promotion, so we can get the terrific house and grow the house along with the family, or the fantastic new car to make that commute a little more pleasant. Actually, those things that we chase, those trappings of happiness that I call them, are only about 10% of the lasting impact on happiness, because we adapt very quickly. Although, as Lee was talking about yesterday, change can be difficult and many people will work hard to resist change. Once we are in a new situation, we have a new environment around us, we adapt very quickly. So those things that we think will bring us lasting happiness rarely do. Only about 10% comes from those trappings. We still have 40%. That 40% of people's tendency to be positive or happy comes from the things that we do every day. How about that? Look how much is within our control. So the gratitude practice that you hear people often talk about, how many people have you heard when they talk about their $1,000,000 morning routine, the morning routine that sets them up for a successful day, to be centered and focused and productive, includes somewhere in there, either in the morning or at the end of the day as a exercise of reflection, writing 3 gratitudes. It's because we're literally training our brain, we're wiring our brain to put more value on those experiences and emotions of gratitude, those things that we're happy and grateful for. So when those come up, then our brain, because we've been reviewing and giving some emphasis to those, our brain says, this is one of those things, let's remember this, right? So we can actually train our brain to be happier. 40% of our tendency towards being positive comes from our daily actions. So what can those be? As I mentioned in Sonia Lubomirsky's book, The How of Happiness, she has a long list of exercises. Sean Aker, in his research and in his book, The Happiness Advantage, shares 5 exercises that they used in their research. And this isn't, you have to do these 5 things every day. They had people in their studies do one of these things from a list of 5 for 21 days consecutively. And after the end of 3 weeks, they felt more positive. Good morning, Coach Rev Lee. It's good to see you online. I hope you're having a beautiful start to your day. And so the gratitude practice that I was just mentioning is one of those 5 exercises that if we do consistently for 21 days, people measured themselves using the satisfaction with life scale, so a way to make objective measure of subjective feelings. We all need those in our life, don't we? They were measurably more positive, and when they came back for testing, even if they didn't continue the exercise or practice in their daily life, at 4 and even 6 weeks later, people felt, again, they still measured themselves to be more positive than they did at the beginning of this research. So when we take these daily actions, when we raise our positivity set point, it has lasting benefit. So the other 4 things that they looked at in addition to the gratitude practice in Sean Aker's work is exercising for just 10 minutes a day consistently, mindful breathing, just tuning into your breath for 2 minutes, which can pass surprisingly quickly. If you take maybe 6 to 8 nice, deep, slow, diaphragmatic breaths, you're probably going to be right about that 2-minute mark. So that's an easy exercise to integrate. The tough part is remembering, isn't it? That's how habits work. Other things were random act of kindness, doing one thing for other person, even writing an email to someone and saying, this is what I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for you. 1 act of kindness a day, journaling about one good thing that went well through the course of the day. Did I get to 5? That's pretty much the list. So you get an idea. Now, these things that we can do consistently, are you going to guess what I'm going to say next? Watching a session every day, watching a Positive Prime session, even at high speed, as quickly as 3 minutes of Positive Prime every day, is one of those things that we can do when we boost our mood consistently. Our brain recognizes we're hungry for these things. We appreciate these emotions. And as we've talked about, as we've reviewed the components and facets of the sessions are designed to inspire gratitude, especially if you're bringing your own photos from your gallery into your session and personalizing those. If you haven't seen that video, if you have any trouble finding out how to do that, post a comment here. We'll make sure to point you to the right place, because adding your own photo gallery into the sessions is really one of the most powerful things you can do, and one of the great benefits of this 30-day trial, because you can do that and see how it benefits your sessions. So that was kind of a lot. I've been talking a mile a minute, but I hope that you find some great ideas. Let me know if this brings up any questions for you, and we'll be sharing through later in the day. We have another prompt on a session that you can watch, but of course, if you choose a different session, just let us know what it makes you feel, how you feel afterward. I love that little mood check that they incorporate. Because Positive Prime believes in tracking our success, and I just think it's a great touch point to recognize. Sometimes when we feel better, we don't recognize how far we've come. So it's great to get these mile markers. And so the session that we encourage you to watch today, and we'll have a post up here to remind you, is called You Are Enough by Marissa Peer. She's a very well-known hypnotherapist, and she has a very powerful session. Some longer affirmations in that one, actually. So if you feel like watching that on slower speed, you might get a little bit more out of that. So let us know how that works for you. We're so happy to have you with us. And as Lee mentioned yesterday, we love to hear from you. We love to see you engaged. Please let us know where you find benefit, any questions we can answer for you. We are coming to the close of week number 2, which means we will be finding who has been the most engaged through the course of this week. We'll take a look over that at the end of the day today, and we'll be announcing another winner for our weekly prize tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing you in the comments and hearing from you, and we hope you have a wonderful day ahead. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you back here online super soon.